Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the first lab for Introduction to Database SFDV 3002. First of all, we will see how to connect to our server from within the college LAN. Open SQL Developer and in connection, create new connection. Select connection here and hit this button. Now this screen will show up. You can here write any name. Your name, for example. This is the connection name. Then you write your username and password. Student username is S with their full ID. Password is the same unless you have changed your password. Now the host name from within the college is 10.75.4.131. The port is the same. SID is ORCL. Then connect. Now you are connected to the database. First step to do is to change your password, so other student will not know about it. To change your password, I will increase the font size. To change your password, enter user, your username, the username of yours, then identified, by, and here you write the new password. The new password need to start with character. You can't start your password with integer. I'll put the password temporarily as this one. Now this is your username. S with your ID, identified by, start with any letter and create your own password. This is the new password. Then click on this run button. The password or the user has been entered. Now when you log in with your new password. This is the first one, the first things to do. The second thing is to how create table in Oracle. The syntax for that: first create table. Now you give the table that you want to create, the name of table. I will call it student. This is student table. Inside here, you define the attributes for this student tables, the columns. Is it student ID, student name, and these columns. Now first column will be student ID. Remember, you can't define an attribute name with two words. This is wrong. You need to connect between them and don't use dash. This is wrong also. You need to use like underscore. Student ID, this is the attribute name. Then the attribute type. Student ID usually number. Number, I will give it 10. This is the size of student ID. It's 10 digits number. Now student ID usually is a primary key. So I'll put here primary key, comma. The comma will separate between one attribute definition and another. The other attribute will be student. Student name. Student name type is varchar. Varchar 2. Size I will give it 20. This 20 means that student name cannot exceed 20 character or 20 byte. And I will set it as not null. It means it has to be entered. The student name has to be there. Now the third one will be date of birth. Date of birth type is date. The last one will be address. Varchar 2, and the size is 30. Now be careful, after the last attribute definition there is no comma, unless you later we will see how to add constraints here, but for now don't put any comma after last one. When you have done this with the cursor with this statement, I mean the statement from the beginning at the end, click on run statement. Now table student has been created. Now open your connection. This is the object of this connection. In tables you can see the student table. Double click on it. This is the definition of student table. You have 4 columns. This is the columns names, each one the data type of it, and can it be null or no. The first one, since it's primary key, it cannot be null. The second one, because we defined it as not null, it cannot be null. The third one and fourth one, we haven't mentioned it is not null, so it is possible for it to have null value. So far we don't have any data in this table. The constraint for this one is primary key and check constraint. With it, check it, it's not null. Now let's create another table. Create table. Course. First attribute is course code. Now course code in our colleges, it's always 4 characters with 4 integers. SFDV 3002, INFT 1002. It's like this. So I will define it, type as char, and the size will be 8. The course code is the primary key. The second attribute is course name. It's varchar 2, size 30. It's not null. Fourth one is how many hours, so it will be a number of size 1. It means 1 digit. It's either 2 credits, 3 or 4 credits. This is all for course table. Now after last one you don't put any comma. With cursor in this, click on run statement and the table course created. If you go to table, refresh, you will see course. This is the columns and there is no data. This is the second part of this lab. Now let's go to the third part. Here we will need to insert some data in these tables. The statement will be insert into, then the table name. I will insert first in student, put values, insert into student. The values are student table start from student ID, which is number. So I'll put, this is the student ID. The ID does not, it can't be longer than 10 numbers. After student ID is student name between two quotation. I put student name. Then student date of birth, I will put it as sys date, which is the current date. We will see later how to enter the date. Last is the address. Let's put it SUR. Now this is how to enter data into table. One row inserted. That's for creating table and inserting some data. This is all for first lab. We will meet again inshallah in the second lab.